we talked. You mentioned dragons. Do you think dragons can hoard more than just like gold and riches?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
There are some dragons that absolutely hoard information. Like, that's what they want.
Yeah,
Oh,
for sure.
really? Information
Yeah.
actually. I was more thinking of like things I've seen, like a dragon can hoard anything. Really? Literally, there is somewhere on TikTok floating a dragon that hoards squishmallows, and it is the most adorable thing on
Oh,
the
that's
face of the
amazing.
planet.
I mean, yeah, I guess that would work. It kind of depends on what type of dragon. It depends on like the location and region. Jonah, don't you remember the Dragonology book?
I mean, I flipped through it a little bit, but it's a big book.
Shame on you.
I'm sure there's some kind of like evil aligned dragon that hoards the bodies of its enemies.
Glorious.
Dark, but okay. What is up, adventurers? Rick Quasar here, and welcome back to Dungeons and Dragons and Discussions, the show where I have two nerdy D&D tabletop players to discuss a question of my own choosing. What are they going to talk about? We will never know. Actually, the title would say what we're talking about, but that's okay. Joining me tonight is guest star. I gotta figure out which. Oh, there we go. Guest star Jamie and guest star Micah. Thank you for joining me and for agreeing to discuss the topic for tonight.
Yeah, good to be
Oh,
here.
you're welcome. Sorry, I didn't realize we were supposed to like.
You can
actually-
talk.
Thank you. Oh, gracious Rick Quasar for allowing us.
Were you about to call me Wick Quasar? the Wesky YouTuber.
YouTuber.
Okay. Anyways, today's discussion is all about the dice. The thing that makes D&D roll.
That was
Chaotic.
lame.
It's chaos. It's chaos.
I hate myself. Dice rolling, in case you don't know, is really important for D&D and a good majority of tabletop games. A roll of dice can help determine if you made your attack, if you cast your spell successfully, if you managed to dodge the death trap or dodge a fireball. I mean, rolling dice is extremely important. That being said, there seems to be a certain, I don't want to say cult, following that has kind of extreme views on dice. And kids, one of you give me the definition of a dice goblin.
Yeah, absolutely. A dice
Well,
goblin.
do you understand goblin or just common?
Micah's like, she's like, I got it. I can speak goblin. I've been practicing for months, specifically for this video.
If
I can only say 4 words, but they're relevant to dice.
do
Wait,
it.
Do it.
I'll put
No,
I'll put subtitles. I will put subtitles.
Okay. What do you want me to say relevant to dice?
I don't know. Whatever's easiest. Dice rolling is I don't know.
Dice is good.
Dice is good. Yes.
Was basically good.
Stop it.
Yes. I love it. Anyways, what is dice goblins? What are dice goblins exactly?
Okay. Dice goblins are people that hoard dice like dragons hoard treasure.
They
Okay.
might even eat them.
Possibly.
Cool.
I mean,
Chocolate.
they have very emotional connections to their dice. They get very territorial of their
There
dice.
are laws with their dice where some of them end up in jail.
Yeah.
So
That is actually one of the questions I had. So they're correct. Dice goblins have this certain feeling. Come here, you. Thank you. This certain philosophy. Philosophy.
Yes.
Philosophy. Have a philosophy that oh, this is the dice that grants me all the d20s, all the critical hits. This one I only roll this one if I'm like fishing or something like that. They give the dice, only word that I can say is personalities. And that is actually one of the first questions I'm going to ask is, thank you. My camera's glitching. The first question I want to ask you too is, do you think dice can have a personality? And to give you a little example, I literally watched a video about this guy explaining it and how he's like, I would have to look through the names, but he's like, okay, when you buy dice, you have to give it a couple of rolls, and it's like if it rolls like you do have to roll it 5 times, and you give it, if it rolls like below 10 on the first 3, and then two critical rolls at the 2 critical rolls, then you have my gosh, a golden dice or something like that. Do you think dice can have personalities in the way that they roll?
Well, I can speak to the philosophy I was introduced to for tabletop RPGs was the uglier the dice, the better it rolls. So
Ooh.
My uncle and aunt, who actually got me into this type of gaming, gave me what they considered a really ugly dice, but I actually loved it, and it didn't roll well. So
Oh no!
Maybe it has to do with what you think is an ugly dice. And I tried
Fair.
that for a while, didn't really get anywhere with it, and stopped playing for a little bit.
Okay.
I came back to gaming and actually had money to buy dice that I wanted. And instead of seeking out dice with personality, I sought out dice that would reflect the personality of my characters and the journeys I wanted them to go on.
Oh.
So I think maybe some people can find personality out of dice. And there are dice that definitely speak to personality and have influenced how I play characters because I'm using those dice. But I think there's also the flip side of that where you can put meaning into whatever dice you have.
Okay.
Yeah,
I definitely am not the goblin that has connections to dice.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that because, like, I think there is something super special about having a specific set of dice for a character. Like, totally cool with that. I'm more of a dice minimalist. I have one set of dice and another one that I use that is not actually one that I own. It's my dad's set. Yes, I own one set of dice.
I can't fathom this. I can't fathom it.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, so part of it is I'm like, if I have a good set, I don't want to spend the money to go get more. But eventually I might branch out. However, I am a creature of comfort. I like routine. And so I stick with my dice. I have, again, the set that stays at my dad's house where I do most of my tabletop gaming. And then I have my actual set that I take everywhere with me. And that's the one that I like. And that one I only got like 3 years ago. So it's been a hot minute. So yeah, I'm a dice minimalist. I definitely think it's cool to have dice that match characters. And like character personalities and whatnot. Because I don't know, like in my brain, every single one of my characters has like a color scheme and a vibe. And I think it'd be super cool to match up dice to that. Like I know my husband has done that where he has like a vibe with his dice that match the group of characters that he's recently had. But when it comes to like actual personality, like in the context of like dice personalities that you see within certain D&D circles, I don't necessarily think that dice have like personality. Like, no, your dice cannot be a traitor or something like that. Like, I don't necessarily agree with that. Now, I do think that you wait.
Yep.
I do think you can have a bad set of dice, and we can get into that a little bit more later because dice are made differently.
That is actually what the next question I was going to ask. I did want to touch upon like the whole aspect of training dice. In the same video about like identify like dice personalities, he went into training dice where it's like, okay, roll the dice, and if it does good, make sure you hold it in your hands while you're playing, and it's like if it does bad, toss it in the bottom of your bag, literally like training the dice.
I'm sorry.
I feel like I'm gonna have to represent a lot of superstitions because of what I do with dice, and the more you talk, the more I realize this is not logical, but it is my system for dice.
Yeah. That's all
No,
right.
I am not. I am. You know what? I am not like bashing them at all. I don't know. Okay, Jamie, you would remember this. Do you remember the cursed dice?
Oh, yes, of course. Those are actually the ones that I use.
You use my dice?
The red curse die, the brick red ones.
You use
Yes,
my red
those
cursed dice?
Yes. Those are the ones that I consistently use.
Oh, that makes me happy. So the cursed dice are these dice that I used in when my sister and I. Oh, sorry, spoilers. Whatever. You guys have been paying attention.
We also look
Spoilers, was this
so.
going to be revealed later?
Surprise.
When my sister and I played in my father's campaign, I used these dice that literally would roll spectacularly on things that didn't really matter.
Yes.
When it did matter, they would crit fail so hard.
It was
Those are called
hilarious.
storytelling dice, though.
Storytelling dice. That's actually a really nice way of putting it. But
Well,
I mean,
yeah, because a lot of people scare away from these dice that roll poorly, but maybe the story that you're meant to tell with your character is overcoming all of these things that are considered failures. But really, that's what the hero does. So if your dice don't trip you up sometimes, are they really voting for you to be a hero or a villain who everything is just working for?
Or
And you're steamrolling through a story.
here's the deal. What if it's your energy? Maybe you're the one making the dice bad.
That's true, though.
that is very fair. Well, that's you know what? I'll slip this
That's your
question in here.
interpretation of it.
You mentioned about vibing. Do you think that like? I mean, I have a question later on that's going to talk about dice rolling. I'll get into that. But do you think that if you vibe well with the dice or whatever, that you roll better?
Superstition alert. But I think that if you trust your dice, they will give you better storytelling options than you would necessarily think of for yourself.
Okay.
Believe in the heart of the cards.
Trust in the heart of the cards.
So I guess, all right, here's the deal. I don't necessarily believe that if you vibe well with a set of dice or I don't necessarily believe it's the dice themselves that create the vibe. However, if you like a set of dice, you're going to roll more confidently. And I do believe that confidence does affect your roll.
All right.
Oh.
Well, that's kind of what I was thinking too. The next question that I want to get into, because I just want to keep moving along, trying to keep the video short, because people's attention spans are ruined. Anyways, different discussion for a different day. Next question that I want to talk about is, do you think that different like dice materials, like I obviously have metal dice that create craters when they land. It's just like a oh, that I just broke my controller. Oh no. Oh crap. It's fine.
Okay. You can
it's fine. I can. Anyways, but do you think
case in point,
do you think that different dice, like with the different materials that they're made of, with like the little things like hollow, metal, plastic, glass, do you think that what they're made of can actually impact how well or okay, elaborate.
1,000%.
Elaborate.
Yes. Okay. So as much as I don't like to admit this because I don't like them, metal dice are the most superior. I just don't like the way they feel personally. Like, I don't like the heaviness of them, or that my hands typically smell like metal afterwards.
It's satisfying because when I think I'm throwing a punch, I feel like when I throw this sucker.
That's fair. That's fair. No, they definitely are superior because specifically of how they're poured or cast or whatever the specific type of dice you have are. Some of them are cast, some of them are poured, but either way, they are superior because they're more even. Everything's distributed more even, whereas something like acrylic, which is what most common dice are done with, and plastics and resins, there's natural air bubbles, even in glass, actually. There's natural air bubbles that occur. So you could have dice that, like we were talking about earlier, that's a bad set, like they're extra bubbly or the resin didn't lay or set correctly. This can happen in like semi-precious stone dice as well. You could have like a heavier vein in the stone on one side versus not. So yeah, there definitely is a difference. Personally, I prefer resin dice though over like acrylic because those tend to be more even, but not the resin ones with the little creatures and stuff in it because they're weighted differently.
Can you tell? That's actually what I wanted to mention. Doesn't oh man, she doesn't want me to use her real name. Doesn't Nightwing have rubber ducks in her dice?
No, Nightwing has penguin ones. But the penguins are like I played with her dice and they are like top heavy. It's the same thing. Like I love the beautiful like dice that are filled with like moss and mushrooms and things like that. Like those are gorgeous. All the cottagecore dreams. But I'm like, I can't bring myself to get them because I feel like they'd be weighted differently.
So there's actually been some people who have tested out how to roll fairly with these. I think I can't remember what they called them, but like these inconsistencies in the dice.
Okay, yeah, tell me this.
So it's one of the reasons dice towers. A lot of people like using those because they don't. It's the way that dice towers work is it tumbles it so much that, and it just like jars it enough that the weighted shouldn't matter. And then I think also with like the heavier dice, like metal, and then like the really light dice that you get that are maybe hollowed out or something. These ones, people are less likely to like actually roll it well because one, they don't want to damage it with the heavy stuff or send it flying anywhere. And with the lighter ones, it's like at a pool ball table. If you hit it at a certain angle, it's just going to go flying, right? So people won't roll consistently with those, and that's where you find the impurities in the dice making a larger impact on how they roll. Whereas these medium weight dice, if you're less scared for like there to be damage or for it to go flying, you will roll it and it will be less of an impact. So these are such tiny little things. Like you can definitely get weighted dice, but the impurities in them are actually a lot less impactful than people would normally think. So it's a logical fallacy on a large part.
Interesting. That makes total sense what you were saying. Total sense.
I'm sorry. Say that again?
So the impurities in dice, like the naturally occurring ones, like when people are talking about materials having like settling weird and all that stuff, unless you are specifically weighting the dice, that's not going to affect it as much as you expect.
As your specific rolling
it will
style.
A bit, but it's not as impactful as your confidence for actually rolling. And if you're committing to like making it tumble around, if you're scared of throwing it too hard because it'll fly off because it's too light or too heavy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I would say
medium weighted dice is better for people who are worried about fair rolls.
Yeah, I would totally agree because the two sets that I use, one is acrylic and one is resin. My resin set is heavier because it has like has gold foil and flecks all in it. So I feel more confident in my roll with that. Like I can launch it farther. I'm not afraid of it like bouncing all over the place. So I would totally agree with what you just said.
Nice. Yeah. My next question
the only time that comes into play is if you're dropping it from a height, like a cat. Like if they have enough time to right themselves.
Well, that actually works out really well into the next question, which is, does the way you roll the dice affect the outcome better? Like the whole drop roll thing, which just looks ridiculous. I sent a video to all of them with I don't remember his last name. It's Sam from Critical Role. and someone's recording them like how each person rolls their dice, and Sam, he does a drop roll, and then it goes to, I think, Laura Bailey. Remember her last name for some reason, and she does like some she says how she's like she gets to get the feel of the dice, and then do like a wrist flick, whatever. Does the way you roll the dice, does that impact it, or
Yes. I really do. I
don't think it naturally throws it towards like you're gonna succeed or fail, but it does change what it lands on.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, drop rolls I do not like. I just don't like drop rolls.
Do you like the pick up, flick it, and drop it, like the pick flick?
That one I don't have as much of an issue.
Motion.
Like the popcorn motion. Yeah, I don't have as much of it. Yeah, like you flick it.
You pick it up and you go like this, and just like kind of like a kick flip with a.
So that gets some spin on the dice, so I really don't have an issue with that. I don't like the straight up drop rolls because, okay, first of all, people can definitely utilize it. Yeah, now flick. No.
Oh, I'm not holding it.
Well, you're not even.
Yeah, I know. I'm just so flick it, like throw it.
So with the popcorn, leave it on the felt, or whatever your material is.
I think it's.
And then you just pick it up and just kind of flip it into the air straight up. It doesn't have to be high.
Like pop it.
Yeah, kind of like that.
Yeah.
13. I'll take that.
Average.
But yeah, I don't
Average.
care. I don't care for the drop rolls. I think honestly all other rolling styles are fine as long as you get a little bit of movement with the dice. And then I do feel like dice towers tend to be the most even and fair, but I think it does depend on your dice tower. I like the ones that get like a really good tumble, like the ones that go back and forth are my favorite.
Yeah,
I don't know. I know that's
good.
not very technical, but
Hold on a second.
Yeah.
You literally have my dice tower with you guys there. Have you been using it?
I don't strictly. No, hear me out. Strictly because it stays at the other end of the table and I'm on the other side and I don't have the energy to pass it back and forth.
Just buy everybody one.
There you go. I don't like the ones that are like just a chute. That there's like you can just put it in and it's not guaranteed that there's going to get like a good tumble on it. So I don't care for those, but any that actually like will roll the dice well, those I feel like are superior and the most fair, so to speak.
My favorite one.
I think they're just satisfying.
Yes.
Oh, they make a beautiful noise.
My favorite one, I think I saw it once. It was like an Etsy build or something, but it's a spiral staircase down, a clear spiral staircase. So you drop it and it rolls.
Yeah.
It has a different. Yeah, that's fun.
I think that's my favorite right there.
My only qualm with dice towers, and it's like what you were saying earlier, sometimes I want to actually feel it. Like I want to be rolling like with intensity for whatever's going on or whatnot. Like I don't necessarily want to be like, if you're building up to a moment where it's like, okay, this is a make or break. Either you're going to fail this mission or win based off of this one roll, and there's so much like power behind it, and just like dropping it into a dice tower
when you're like shaking it in your hand, you're like, oh my
exactly
gosh.
The anticipation.
But
just like dropping it into a dice tower kind of kills it for me.
No, because then it's even more anticipation because you're watching the little tray at the bottom waiting for it to come out, and you're like, what is it going to be? Is it going to screw me?
And that's where Brennan Lee Mulligan's Box of Doom.
Box of Doom.
I think using dice towers and Boxes of Doom, those are really impactful for like you need a high score on this, or you need me to roll something very low.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think at that point it's out of your hands, and that feels scarier.
Yes.
Yeah.
For some reason, like that increases the intensity of like, oh my gosh, everything is out of control right now. And when you are rolling the dice on your own, you're like, oh no, this is all me.
So honestly,
am I gonna live up to this or not?
Yeah. So honestly, that's why, like I was saying earlier, I'm a minimalist. I like things to be like as they are and to be in control because I'm a little bit of a control freak. So I like to be in control. Back off.
I did not say a single thing. I did not say a single thing.
Said it all. Eldest sibling to second eldest sibling. So
oldest to
that
middle
dynamic.
child. I see how it is. Well, part middle child, half middle child.
Oldest to eldest male child.
I'll take that.
There we go. Anyways,
only male child, but whatever.
Well, only male child. Anyways, I like to be in control because I don't know, if I blame myself, then I can blame myself and be like, it was my fault, and then I can reconcile that better.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why.
So you two kind of already like danced around this question, but I want to ask it anyway. What is the best way to roll dice, in your opinion? Now, I don't know.
This is purely opinion based.
This is purely opinion based because, and that's kind of, I just want to point this out. Do not roast me. These are just opinions and whatever.
Oh, yes.
We're just giving advice, or we're just giving our thoughts and feelings. Do not just go and think that this is the way that you need to play D&D. Do not, or any other tabletop game. But anyways, that being said, we got a lot of experience. You should listen to us. And no, don't.
No, here's the deal. No, real quick. I'm going to jump in. That's the beauty of role-playing games, is they can be whatever you want them to be for you. So if you want to have all the dice in the world and create entire backgrounds for each one with their personalities and how, like, have a detailed journal of how they have affected you, go for it. It's not my style, but I have no issues with anyone else that wants to go all out with their dice. Mm-hmm. It's a style thing. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and you'll have very entertained moments when you decide that, you know what, I'm just going to start rolling D100s and roll this sucker.
Oh, dude, and they take forever to land on the right one.
So this is a D100. I bought this a while ago, and it's basically a golf ball, and you have to have a totally level surface, or else it will just keep rolling, and it's frustrating. But
it's hilarious.
But so when, let's say, I mean, for each is opinion based, but all right. I mean, when I say the best way to roll dice.
How about we do this way?
Yeah.
Each of us can show how we roll. How do you roll, Rick?
Oh.
Yeah, man.
Okay.
You have it right there.
I will edit it. I will edit me changing my camera, but here, let me just clean up. I'm gonna cut this part out, but I'm gonna be fancy, and I'm actually gonna point the camera at my desk, and I'll show you.
Ooh. Sorry.
So the way I like to roll. Oh man, I'm gonna have to roll left-handed, which is awful. Yep. Okay. Now so the way I roll is I kind of like roll it, and I roll and I play like a craps player. I want to roll, and I swirl around in my hand a little bit, and then I roll so it hits the back of the wall.
Oh, interesting.
So I swirl and I make it hit the back of the wall because I want to try and get like a little bit of a ricochet. So and then I like flick it, but that was a 19. So I like to roll. I want to roll, and then I want to kind of flick and hit the wall. That's a 12.
That's super interesting because I don't like it to hit the sides like at all. I tend to stay away. I have 2 rolling methods. We got the shake method, and then shake. And then I have the one where you like go in your hand, and then I let it just like roll off the tips of my fingers, so we get like a really nice spiral on it.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. I like that.
That's my rolling technique.
All right, Micah, give us yours.
Okay, so I think I'm gonna try to move my camera.
Yes.
To answer the question, how I roll dice. So I approach it from a character first stance, and it really depends on what character I'm playing. So I'm going to show you 2 dice here. Mm-hmm. These were for a goblin I played named Keepa, and he was kind of chaotic. He was trying to be neutral. He knew he could never be good, right? So whenever he was letting that goblin bloodthirst go in, I would go for this die. And whenever he was trying to be better or just clear of mind, he would use this one. So this one has like green speckles on it. This one has green, a little bit lighter green, and then it has just like blood splatter on it.
Ooh, I like the visuals.
So I would really think about, okay, what am I expecting out of this roll? And then for him, I would do a bit of this, or I'd go like this, like greedy, like it just felt goblin-y. Like just shake as much as you can,
Wow.
and then drop it as quick as you can too. For when you're doing the bloodthirsty goblin version, and then when he was more controlled, it would be more of a like think about what I'm rolling for, and then go right. So that was one way. But this is actually my Zariah kit. Zariah was a bard, and she was just a precious little thing.
Oh my gosh, Zariah!
Yeah, so she had a journey where she was kind of closed off and reserved and kind of scared of everything. And over time, like through the campaign, she came more into like her own voice, standing up for things she believed in, and putting her foot down about stuff, and just like being her. So I've had 3 dice sets, one of them opaque, so that when I felt like she was in that more closed off mindset or scared, I would roll with this one. And it was harder to see what it rolled because it's so like blunt. Anyway, it got in the mindset. And then this was kind of like a middle ground. And then this was more for like when she was like truly in her own element.
Clarity.
These ones, I felt they were appropriate for her because they were like more precious materials like glass and stuff. So I did find myself rolling more gently, which would keep me in her mindset. But I would spend more time rolling and thinking about stuff before I would commit to a roll. Like, do I even want to be doing something? And like the hesitation to action got me into her. So for her, the more appropriate roll was going like this and then letting it roll slightly long towards the end softly. So I do think like going from goblin mode of like, I'm going to shake it, I'm going to drop these things as fast as I can, to Zariah of timid, gentle woman. Like it really just depended for me what the characters were. And that's where I think, before I move my camera back, that's where I think the personality of dice can come into play. Like where you find personality in dice and where you assign it.
I mean, Micah, you have just like this whole system played out. That's fantastic, honestly. Like,
and I forgot, this was for her familiar. They're tiny, tiny dice.
Oh my gosh!
I was wondering what those were.
Yeah, like I can fit like 3 or 4 in my fingernail. So.
Oh my gosh!
Wow,
that's so cute. They're like little fairy dice.
Yeah.
My gosh, I love that.
Yeah, I'm gonna be totally honest. Like I went into this being like, no, it's dumb. Dice don't have personality, blah. But you're like so passionate about it, and you really make it part of the story. So I think I'm changed a little bit.
I really think that there are superstitions for dice goblins, and there are storytelling elements for dice goblins. And a lot of times those cross over because you spend so much time caring about the dice and how they enhance your play, how they inspire your play. I think dice goblins get kind of a bad rep for being kind of silly about these things that logically and statistically don't make sense. But there is an emotional connection because you're using this as part of your character.
Oh, absolutely. I am all about the emotional. I emotionally attached to every inanimate object, like ever. I have a hard time letting anything go because I'm like, no, it's precious to me. So goblin in other areas of life, just not necessarily with dice, but that's just like I said, a change thing.
Nice.
But no, I definitely think that like you emotionally attach to things, and it makes perfect sense that would translate to dice and characters that you've built from your mind and have a connection with.
Yeah, I mean, you're imagining this story to begin with. Why not imagine things about the dice too?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a great line, actually. My gosh, I want that on a t-shirt. Wow.
Yeah, why stop short? Why not do it wholeheartedly? I totally agree.
Fully commit. Yeah. All right. Well, we are out of time. But that was fantastic. Thank you two for helping us out here.
That was super cool. I feel like my mind is more opened now after Micah's explanation of all of her dice.
Well, I mean, my degree was in English, and I very much like storytelling. It's one of the reasons I like
you're good at it.
So yeah, I will put story onto everything.
Yeah, you're a great storyteller.
Thank you. It's very fun talking about dice with you guys.
This was a blast.
I need to do more discussion videos because every time I do one, it's fun. So just keep poking me and be like, hey, when's the next one coming out? So I can keep reminding myself to do them. But that is all the time we have for tonight. Thank you, everybody, for joining us in this discussion of dice and dice goblins. If you like what you saw, don't forget to like and subscribe. As always, I'm Rick Quasar. This has been myself, Jamie, and Micah. Thank you, too, once again. And I hope you all check out the rest of what I have on my archives. Have a good night.
See ya. Hit the bell.
Hit the bell. Yes, please.
Did you do it?
I don't know. Did you? Did they? We'll find out.